Hello, everybody. Bienvenidos a todos. Okay. Voy a tratar de decir unas palabras en español. Okay. Gracias. Hace 5 años empecé a estudiar español. Es muy difícil aprender un nuevo idioma, ¿sí? Sí, ok. Hoy será una tarde muy especial y estoy muy contento de ver tanta gente aquí. I'm very happy to see so many people here today. It's going to be a wonderful afternoon. Yo sé que muchas personas han trabajado mucho para que este evento tan especial. ¿Es correcto? ¿Sí? Good. Gracias a mis amigos de Literacy Network y en particular las personas que hoy van a hablar con nosotros. Estoy muy orgulloso de ellos. I'm very proud of the people who are going to be speaking here today. And I hope everybody will enjoy the program. Espero que todos disfrutan del programa. Y especial agradecimiento a Sandra Zerate, mi alumna. A special thank you to my student, Sandra, in the back, who has baked those delicious Colombian pastries, obleas, and the homemade arequipe, which is like dulce de leche, and whose products are available at Guido's. So if you're interested, you can find them in the bakery section or in the refrigerator section. Please take a look at this program book. Hopefully you got one. It tells you about the other wonderful things that we're going to have here at the Meeting House over the rest of the summer. And I hope we will see you back here again. And there are advertisers in here who've been very supportive of the organization. And if you go into their business, please say thank you for supporting the Meeting House. And if you like what we're doing here and you would like to support the Meeting House also, feel free. There's an envelope in this program book which you can use to make a contribution to us. And of course, you can make a contribution to the Literacy Network as well. With that, I'd like to introduce the Executive Director of the Literacy Network, Lee Doherty.
Thank you all. One of LitNet's taglines lately is strengthen partnership, and what I love about tonight is the partnership. There are many people I see here that are LitNet tutors, learners, staff, supporters, and there are some new people that I know are supporters of the new Marlboro Meeting House, so it's nice to come together, strengthen partnership. As Barry mentioned, my name is Lee, and I'm a very proud, happy, I love my job director of the Literacy Network. I really love it. What Barry failed to say is that Barry, he mentioned he's a LitNet tutor because Sandra is his student, but he's a tutor, and this was his initiative for this idea. So kudos to Barry for that. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Literacy Network, we've been around, I think this is our 33rd year. In 1991 we were founded. We provide volunteer tutors from our community. We have 160 volunteers. We have 200 active learners. So the math there is some people take on more than one. We have 40 people on our waiting list though. So those of you tonight who are not LitNet tutors, if you'd like to learn more about being a LitNet tutor, we'd love to tell you more about that. So think about that. And again, we have Sandra, a LitNet learner who's providing the desserts. On the camera up there from CTSB TV in Lee is David Milchor, who used to be a LitNet learner. His tutor took him on a field trip to CTSB TV. He works there now. So we're delighted for that. Yes. So that's the Literacy Network. There are lukewarm drinks in the back, but there's ice. Help yourselves if you want to get up during in between stories and get a drink, or at the end. The desserts are there too. They'll be available at the end too. Those are free for you. This event was funded by the Berkshire Taconic Community Foundation as well, so I wanted to give a shout out to them for their generosity. And I think we'll get on with the program. I wanted to introduce Sheela Clary, who is also a LitNet tutor, but you might have read some of her pieces locally in the newspapers. She's a storytelling coach. She's bilingual. She speaks Italiano. And she's worked for several months now with some of these brave learners that you'll see tonight in crafting their stories and encouraging them and getting the bravery and helping them get up here on the stage. Imagine, let's pretend, maybe someone in this room speaks, let's go for, I don't know, an unusual language. Tell me an unusual language. Dutch. Imagine you're living in Amsterdam. You don't speak Dutch. You're learning Dutch. And you're going to go to a storytelling workshop and get up and tell a personal story from your life in Dutch. Imagine that. So without further ado, over to Sheela Clary, and she'll introduce our learners for this evening. Thank you all for being here.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I just have two brief announcements I'm going to make here in my little intro before I get you started with the storytellers. So first off, there should be an index card and pen at the end of your row. And those are for you to tell your own stories of challenge, tales of challenge, if you are moved. If you are so moved as you are listening, write down a few sentences about a particular challenge in your life. These are anonymous. You do not need to put your name, but you do need to write legibly, I hate to tell you. You do have to write legibly. I have to be able to read it. And after each story, Amanda will collect those. I'll give a little, you raise your hand, she'll collect them, and then I will read them. So you will also perhaps get to tell your little tale of challenge. Secondly, I have a question for you. Has everyone in this audience been in an audience before? Is there anyone here who has never been in an audience before, ever, in your whole life? Oh, okay, so you know how to do this, yes? Okay, so, all right, I'm going to ask you just to be actors with me for a minute, okay, ready? So, pretend I am a brilliant Harvard-trained lecturer, and I've just given a fantastic lecture in the history of New Marlboro. Okay, here's my last line, and then you are going to respond accordingly, okay? And that, I haven't given my line yet. And that is how New Marlboro came to be. All right, now, pretend that I have just given a killer rendition of Let It Go at karaoke, okay? So now I'm going to give the last line and then you react, okay? Cold never bothered me anyway. Much better. You're learning. Okay. Now, imagine that English is not your first language. Maybe it's not your second language. Maybe it's not even your third language. Maybe it's your fourth language. Imagine that you have never been invited to speak in front of a crowd of strangers before, much less a crowd of like 150 strangers in a language that is not your native language. And not only to just get up here and talk, but to tell a personal story from your life with intimate details. Yes? Show me the love you're going to give these people. Okay, all right, I'm going to give that a B. I'm just going to try it one more time. How am I going to make you love me? How can I make you love me? There's free dessert and free drinks in the back. Wonderful. That is what we need for all of our wonderful, brave storytellers. So I am just going to come up very briefly to introduce each of our storytellers, and our first one is very brave. She has been unable to sit down for the past hour and a half, but she has just been convinced to sit down for a couple of minutes here. So we're going to give a lot of love for Milagro Diaz, who was born in El Salvador, moved to Long Island in 1994, and to the Berkshires in 2010. She works as a certified nursing assistant at Integritas Healthcare, which is Kemble Farms. She is proud of her 2 daughters. Milagro enjoys singing in her church choir and baking cakes for weddings and other special occasions. Now, give a lot of love for Milagro.
Good afternoon. I'm a little nervous, but when I was a child in El Salvador, I lived in the suburban areas, and I lived in the farm with my grandparents. In that time, we didn't have electricity, and we didn't have access to connect it. And we watch TV and connect it with a car battery. And we use the antenna on the roof to the house. And I remember when I told my sister, she climbed to the roof, and I told her, and I watched the TV on the living room to watch the signal. And then when I have the signal, I told my sister, don't move, let me see it, don't move, I have the signal right now. And then she came back to watch TV. And then after that, but that is not for warring poor people, but in that time that was natural in the areas, in the small areas in El Salvador. It's similar, and right now we don't have internet or Wi-Fi in different areas in this country too. And I grew in with my grandfathers. My grandfather was a farmer. He grew watermelons, melons, green beans, cucumbers, and corn, and raised cows for milk and meat, and chicken for eggs and meat, and pig too. We have he grew 2 mangoes, bananas, and lemons, orange, and cashew trees. And we went to the store once a month. We went to buy whatever my grandfather didn't produce in the farm. And my grandmother, she explained to us how to make tortillas and cheese. And I'm very proud about that. I still make tortillas and cheese in my house. And I'm very happy, but my youngest daughter, she asked me how to make cheese, but not tortillas. And I said, yes, I can explain, I can tell you how to make this. And my grandmother, she was very creative. She was a seamstress, and she made her own wedding dress and decorate by hands with white sequins. And she also made dresses for all the girls in the family. One day, we went to the porch, and she explained to us how to make doll with all sides. And she gave one each to us, and how to fill the head with the little pieces of fabric. And we use button for eyes, mouth, and nose. And for the rest of the face, we embroider. And I very enjoy to make the dolls. And I made crochet shoes and dresses for the dolls. We play with the hospital and school with the dolls. And I was 12 or 13 years old. At night, we didn't have anything to watch movies or something for watch. But I usually went to the bed, to the truck, to my grandfather half the time, and saw to the bright star and the moons and the dark sky, and I wrote poems and lyric or music, romantic music about boy I knew that time. And I still writing poems or music, but not about boy. And that is I still have the dream to continue with my story about my life when I grew up in El Salvador, and that is my goal. Thank you very much.
Just for a little bit of context, I've been working with these students for the last few months, and there's a very, very difficult word to pronounce in there, in case you didn't catch it. Seamstress. Seamstress. She nailed it. Every single story is made up of individual words, and if it's not your first language, some of those words can be hurdles, and so we had to zero in on particular words. And I told her to say it like, as of just today, she was saying seamstress, and then I said 2 words, seamstress, perfect. Okay, great. All right, our next storyteller is in fantastic outfit. If you haven't gotten a view, you're going to get a treat in just a moment. She is in her traditional wear. Pensoy was born and raised on a farm in Cambodia. She now lives in Lenox with her husband, who's an American journalist, and her 8-year-old son, and cooking brings her joy. Please, big warm welcome for Pensoy.
My name is Pensoy. I am from Cambodia. I live all of my life in small town in Cambodia. Then I met Jim Brook. He is a journalist. At that time, he worked for English language newspaper in Phnom Penh. After 2 years, we got married. A year later, our son George was born in 2016. Jim got a new job and we moved to Ukraine in August of that year. When George was 3 months old, Jim worked for an English language news site, the Business News. We live in the capital in Guild. I went to a food market and cannot find the same fruit and vegetable I had used in Cambodia. I cried and told my husband that I wanted to go home to Cambodia with my son George. Bye-bye, Jim. After 6 months, I met LitNet, a Cambodian woman who took me to the Asian food shop in Gills. I was so happy to see food that I know how to cook, and Jim was happy too. I decided to stay. It got cold in September and October. Very cold. It was much colder than here. We bought warm clothes. I wore 3 pairs of socks and 3 sweaters to keep warm. When my parents saw me on the FaceTime phone, they said, "Why do you wear so many clothes? You look like a cabbage." When my son was 1.5 years old, he liked to read an ABC book, saying the letter out loud, but he did not talk. He started to talk when he 2.5 years old, saying that we took George to kangaroo club and a baby club. George did not like a noise there and did not like being with a lot of kids. We took him to a doctor and asked the doctor why George did not like a noise and a lot of people and why he was slow to talk. He said George would start talking when he was older. We took George to the same doctor 5 times and asked him why George did not eat much food and why he did not have to go to toilet every often. He said George should eat vegetable and fruit. The doctor said George was hearing many languages: Ukrainian, Russian, French, English, and the Cambodian language Khmer. 1 year later, a French woman, Celine, a teacher, helped George. She said that maybe George has autism. She was the first person to say that. Jim told me that children with autism do not like a noise, a lot of people. They are slow talking and play alone. When I heard that, I cried. I asked him, what should we do to help George? Celine, Jim, and I talked together. She said that Jim and I could help George. She said that people in Ukraine do not know how to help children with autism. Then Jim made a plan to move here, to move in LitNet, where he grew up. It was also where Jim's sister lives, and teacher autistic children. Before we moved, Jim got very sick with COVID. He had to be in the hospital for 1 week. He came home but was still sick of sometimes. Then one day before we moved, I was packing in the kitchen and Jim was packing in his office. George pushed out a window screen and fall out second story window. He broke both arms and elbow. We took George to the hospital and we stayed here 1 week. We changed the day of our ticket. We are happy to be in the US where George could get help his autism. And today George is 8 years old and he third grade. He gets a lot of help at school. We are happy to be here and thank you LitNet and Coral, my teacher, and for all of help.
Oh my goodness. Oh, it's just such a privilege and an honor to. I've worked with Penn now on this story for months, and Carol and I were just marveling at how it has developed and grown, and it's just a miraculous thing to witness. That was really wonderful, wonderful. All right, our next storyteller is a tutor, not a student, not a learner. So she is our resident tutor storyteller who I convinced, probably against her will, to tell the story here today. So Eileen Labasi was born in New York and studied Romance languages at Queen's College and the University of Bologna. She's taught Italian, French, and Spanish in Waterbury, Torrington, and Litchfield, and English at the Scuola d'Italia in New York City. Eileen is an avid cook and baker and spends part of each year at her home in Tulum, Mexico, from which she Zoomed for our sessions with her learner, Bernardo, who you'll hear from in a moment. Please welcome Eileen.
I'm very little, so, well, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So this is, all of these stories are about challenges, challenges that we all face in life, and this particular challenge is certainly not as arduous as the challenges that our learners have faced, but for me it was a challenge. So it's 1956, and I'm a little girl in Brooklyn, and it's Christmas morning, and I wake up, and at the end of my bed is a big box with a red ribbon. And I'm very confused because I'm Jewish, my family is Jewish, and we didn't celebrate Christmas. I open the box, and there is a Betsy Wetsy doll. Now, for those of you who are as old as I am, you will know what that doll is. That doll was a doll with curly black hair that when you fed her would pee and cry. So this was a doll that I really wanted, and I was very happy to have. But there was something odd about this. Why were they giving me a present on Christmas when I had begged for presents and never gotten one? Turned out, later on that day, that my parents tell me, we are going to Europe for 1 year. My father was an artist, and I guess they had saved up for many, many years, so he could take this year to look at all the art that he'd seen in books and paint. I don't think I really knew where Europe was. I was 8. But I didn't want to go. I didn't want to leave my friends and my neighborhood and my school. But of course I had to go. So we left on a Holland-American line ship because in those days very few people flew. You know, when you went to Europe, you took a boat. And I loved it. I was the only kid on the boat, and everybody was so nice to me. We got to London, we went to Amsterdam. My parents schlepped me to every museum and every cathedral in both countries. And my father gave me a little notebook, and he said, I want you to write down all your favorite paintings to keep me from going crazy. Finally, we arrived in Rome. And in Rome, my parents had rented an apartment. And the question was, what do they do about my schooling? So my mom was teaching me my normal subjects. She had brought books with her. But my parents wanted me to learn Italian. And somehow they had found a man who was a teacher in a local school who said he spoke English. He had been a prisoner of war of the British in the Second World War. This is only like 10 years after the end of the Second World War. So we go to school, and at that time the boys and the girls' classes were separate. And this man, of course, taught boys. So here I was in a boys' class, didn't speak a word of Italian. He was a disciplinarian, and when the kids didn't behave, they got whacked. You know, it wasn't like my school in Brooklyn. And so it was a very difficult time for me. He placed a book in front of me, and I have a frog in my throat, and asked me to study. And I had no idea what he was talking about. So these days, one day after the other, but I kind of went with it, you know. I liked looking at the book, and the kids would pull my braids and call me Americana in Roman dialect. And then one day, I really had to pee. But I was afraid to go to the bathroom because it was a boys' bathroom. But I had no choice. So then I go to the bathroom, and I'm sitting there, and then I begin to see all these little boys crawling under the stall, trying to get a look at me. That was it. I said to my father who came to pick me up, I don't want to go to this school anymore. Why? Well, the boys came to look under the stall, and it was horrible, and I hated it. So, of course, we stopped. My parents then moved to Florence because it was very cold and the apartment didn't have sufficient heating. And in Florence, they finally got the idea that I had to go to a real school, and they sent me to a private school run by a very proper lady from Boston named Miss Berry. And when we arrived at school, we had to curtsy and take this lady's hand. She probably was only 50, but in my mind she was like 150, you know? And I adored this school. And what I loved about the school the most was Italian, because I had a wonderful teacher. And I seemed easy to me. It was something that came easily to me. We spent about 6 months there. I adored it. I loved it. I loved the school. I loved my friends. And when my parents told me it was time to go back to Brooklyn, I broke down. And I said, I don't want to go back to Brooklyn. I want to stay here. And they said, listen, I'm sorry, you know, Dad has work. That's where we live. We went back to Brooklyn. But later on, I found that I was good at languages, especially Italian. And I studied it in high school and college. And I then went to the University of Bologna, and I lived in Italy for a number of years. And that's how this tremendous passion for the country and the language started. Something that I don't think I understood when I was a little girl, but there was something in me that was ready for that experience. And I always tell my daughter, my husband, that somewhere in me is an Italian. I'm not sure with this little Jewish girl from Brooklyn, but there is an Italian in me. And before I go, I just want to thank you so much for asking me to share my story. And I also am so proud, although it's only been a year, to be part of this incredible organization that is really making such an impact on people's lives in every way in our community in the Berkshires. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shailene. I can totally relate. I'm not Italian at all, but I feel as though I was certainly in another life. All right, I think now we'll take a little breather to, if anyone has anything that they've written on a card, we can collect those. You want to raise your, has anyone written a note? No? Don't be shy, even if it's just one. No? All right, well, okay. I hope you get inspired to do so. I'll check again after our next storyteller, who's very eager. Okay, our next storyteller here is Leslie Diaz. Hold on, I have to introduce her. She was born in Bogota, Colombia. She's been learning English for 2 years, and she loves learning new languages and dancing. She lives in the Berkshires and enjoys her life here because it's a nice place. And her favorite season is autumn. Me too. She likes the temperature and the beautiful, amazing views when the leaves change colors and the trees look awesome. Please welcome Leslie.
Hi everyone, my name is Leslie. I've been living in the United States for about 2 years. I am from Bogota, Colombia. I am working with my English tutor for about 1 year, and I live in Bogota, Colombia my whole life until I came to North America. And in a house with the rest of my family. Growing up, we always had at least one dog. My mom really loved dogs. Right now, she has a French bulldog. His name is Thor, and she has a Samoyed dog, and his name is Thanos. When I was in Bogota, I started to study English in the high school, but sincerely, I didn't take this seriously. But after my high school, when I went to university, I needed to take more seriously because it was a prerequisite for I got my certification at university. Today, I want to tell you a little about my challenges with my English pronunciation, and some embarrassing times. I have a lot of stories for tell you, but today I need to be brief. I've been working with my English tutor 1 year. She's really nice. She loves dogs too, so that is something we have in common. And she has 2 dogs. One dog is Missy. She's a cross between a golden retriever and fox. And the other dog is Jakey, and he's a beagle mix. And Missy is from Puerto Rico after hurricane, and Jakey came from the family didn't like him. But now they are in good hands, I am sure. I wish to tell you about some times when I really nailed expressing myself, but it seems I remember more when I really messed up. One day when I was in my home, my cousin called me in the middle of the night, and she was hungry, and she told me if I want to go with her to some food. And I said, yes, sure, why not? And after she picked up me, we decided to go to McDonald's because there was a place open at that time. And when we went close to the windows, the nervous building a little, and when finally we are in the windows, say the person under windows, and can I get cheeseburger with monster? And she looked like, she makes expression like, what heck? And I looked my cousin, and she looked me like so seriously, can I get cheeseburger with monster? Monster, please. And the person in the windows looked like, what the heck? But she say, guys, cheeseburger with mustard? And we say, yep. Well, I have been working with my English tutor for a long time, and we have really good relation. I feel free with her to say anything. We can choose whatever for our conversation. And when I have my meetings with her, we have the normal old set questions when you know someone, like how is going everything with you, what is new, and how is your weekend. The one time, and I asked her, like, how is your poop? And she laughing for long time, and I can't understand. I just wanted to ask you, like, how is your little dogs, or how is your puppies? But instead, I asked her, how is your poop? And I didn't understand at that time. After she was loud from long time, she tried to explain me about the importance of stress pronunciation in the English. Thank you so much. This is my storytelling. Just for finish, I want to say thank you this amazing organization, Lee, Miguel, and thank you everyone for coming today from support LitNet. I am so happy today because I look at a lot of Colombian people in this place, and today is July 20, is Colombian Independence Day. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Leslie. I really wanted to have a special story about the challenges of pronunciation, and Leslie offered that. And as you can imagine, we had to practice in the story about saying poop and puppy, right? She had to land the joke. Did she land that joke? Yeah. Yes. She landed that joke beautifully. All right. Our next storyteller is Maria Cotto. She moved to Massachusetts when she was 9, and she has also lived in Texas and Florida and has been in the Berkshires for the past 5 years. She is a working mom with an adult son and 2 teenage daughters and a well-loved dog. As you'll hear, she did not receive a diploma when she was in high school, but she's been engaged with LitNet for math and English, and she is working towards her high school equivalency. Please welcome Maria.
Hello, my name is Maria, and I'm here to tell you what is the biggest challenge in my life. It's getting my high school degree. I'm 37 years old and I don't have a high school diploma. I have two kids. Two teenagers daughters. They're at the boys' middle school, and a son that graduated from Monument High School 2 years ago. At the beginning, having a diploma didn't seem to matter, but as my children grew older, I knew I needed to give them a better life. So I knew I had to get a degree so I could get a better job, go to college, and also set an example for them. I am from Puerto Rico. I was 9 years old when I got to Springfield, and that's when my trouble began. First of all, my parents split up, and life was unstable. And I had to learn English, which my mother didn't speak English at all. Grade school was very confusing, and I didn't do well in high school. I wanted to be part of the in crowd, and I didn't pay much attention in class. I had my son when I was a senior, which was also part of why I didn't graduate, but not all. At home, no one pushed me to do better than what I did. I only began to realize how important my own education was when my son started school and I had two little girls. I knew I wanted a better life for them, so I had to get a diploma. When they were little, I moved to Texas. I enrolled in a GED class, took the exam, failed science, and got discouraged and quit. Eventually, I moved to Florida. This is when my kids were small. I moved to Florida, enrolled in another GED program. My car broke down, and public transportation in Florida wasn't so reliable, so I got discouraged and quit again. Sometime later, we moved to Haverhill, Mass, to be near my dad, which he passed 6 months later. I got there. I again enrolled in another course and was in the second year of the third year when my life has changed. Living in Haverhill, we were living in a shelter. The people there were very nice to us, and living there taught me responsibility, how to earn money. I had to get prepared for life for my own apartment. After 2 years, we had the opportunity to move to the Berkshires. This is where I found LitNet, the one-on-one tutor, the best thing that ever happened to me. I have two tutors, two amazing tutors. Miss Catherine and I have been working together nearly 3 years, and she's my math tutor, and I have to tell you, she's the greatest. She's here today. We work on basic math. Right now, we are doing fractions and decimals. She has made math for me so easy and also showed me how math connects with everyday living, nature, and how we need it every day. Except like helping me decide whether I should buy a house or continue renting. I also have two previous English tutors, which they're not here now. Now I have Miss Marcy, that without her I can write the speech or say it. We work on grammar, reading, and writing, but also we discuss subjects like history, science, political issues, and more. Now, I know I have a long way to achieve my goal, and I know there will be bumps along the way. Even members of my family have said I am wasting my time. But continuing my education is very important to me. Even if I don't get a degree, I am not giving up. Thank you.
Proud of these storytellers. I just want to take a moment here to call out by name all of the tutors who have been working with their learners on these stories. That is Marty Gautron, Kathy Folkers, Nancy Walters, Aline Labasi, and Carol Parrish. So a special round of applause for them. We were all privy to all of the hard work that went on behind the scenes to make this all happen, and it was a lot of hard work, and it was a real team effort, and it's just all of us who were there know how far we've all come, and it's a really wonderful, for me personally, I've been doing storytelling a decade now, and this is just usually it's just folks who just get up and tell their story without sometimes I'll do some workshopping with them, but it's a whole different level of meaning and significance and courage, I would say, just mind-blowing. So this is the last you're going to hear from me now, and so we're going to invite the final storyteller up to the stage, who is going to share his story and also share a special surprise at the end, after which Lee Doherty will come back up to say goodbye to everyone and to invite you outside. So our final storyteller is Bernardo Martinez. He was born in an indigenous community, and I will let him tell you where because he's going to tell us how to pronounce it. He has a son, Cesar Miguel, who is 10 years old, and Bernardo came to the Berkshires just 3 years ago, and he works in construction. He loves music, and he plays the saxophone in a Latin band. Please welcome Bernardo.
Hello, everybody. My name is Bernardo Martinez Cano. I am originally from an indigenous community of the Mije people called Totontepec. Totontepec. Now you say it. Totontepec. Very good. In the state of Oaxaca, Mexico. Located 100 miles from the capital. The first language I spoke was my native language, Mije. And I learned to speak Spanish at school, so English will now be my third language. The geography of my region is mountainous, cold, cloud forest, with beautiful landscapes and many animals in danger of extinction, like the jaguar, the tapir, the ocelot, among others. My ethnic group is characterized by its brotherhood, solidarity, mutual help, and collective work. In my community, it is said that you are born, you grow, and die with music, because the Mije region, it is the cradle of traditional wind instrument music. Most kids learn how to play a musical instrument from very early age. And that is how A taste for music was born in me, and I learned how to play the saxophone. Totontepec is magical. When you arrive at this place, you can observe nature in its glory. There you will find springs in every corner, which invite you to savor the transparency and freshness of the water, breathing the aroma of the flowers that permeate the skin, and observe the majesty of the different shades of green of the hills and mountains. The very intense fog makes you feeling inner of being among the clouds. It's like touching the sky with your hands. Those who visit always want to return or decide to stay and live there. Nobody wants to leave their region, but economic need is greater. Leaving my beloved land, where I was born and raised, leaving my family, who I miss, was the biggest challenge I face every day. I speak in the present tense because my most precious memories come to my mind daily. Seeing the sunrise next to my son is a happy feeling that turns into longing for the distance that separates us. Another challenge to overcome daily is loneliness, is the emptiness you feel after a day of work, coming home tired, hungry, without finding a word of encouragement, of motivation or strength. There are people around me, but my soul feels alone. Feeling loneliness and missing the music of my region that has always accompanied me since childhood made me fall into depression and alcohol abuse. But now, thanks to life and music, a universal language, even without mastering the language of this country, I make music with my friends in a Latin band called Medianoche. That has helped me cope with loneliness and overcome my drinking. God, life, destiny, or necessity have brought me here, where I have acquired knowledge, skills, and very unpleasant experience like being in front of you. Today, I can say that our path will always be full of challenges that make us to discover everything we are capable of. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Was there a song we were going to hear? Yeah. Are you going to play some music? That's awesome. Mind blown. Just the whole evening. I knew this was going on. I'm the director of the organization, but I haven't been involved with it. Sheela has been working with the students, and I have to introduce, she's not going to like it. Amanda Jaraka is my ghost writer. She's the quiet person behind the scenes. She coordinated this entire event tonight. I have to give props to Amanda Jaraka. She really stuck with this. We had learners that gave it a try and weren't quite brave enough, and I don't blame them, to come up here and be as vulnerable as you were, Maria, as you were, Leslie, Aileen, Milagro, Penn, Bernardo. Just amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Actually, I'd like all the storytellers to come up on the stage, please. All the storytellers.